You know how things aren't always what they seem, and I'm gonna give you a great example. Money. We all know money. We know how you can spend it, how you can get it, how it can change a person. And I thought I knew about money until I met a millionaire. It changed my entire perception of the thing I thought I knew, and was the same thing with lazy people. I hear it all the time. Every job I've ever had, it's always someone complaining about the so-called lazy workers. They say that they're useless, that they're making life harder for everyone else, and I just smile and I bite my tongue. Because here's the thing, I don't shame or blame anyone for not wanting to work. In fact, I kind of respect them. While everyone else is busy trash-talking them, I see the truth. They are the ones who haven't fallen for the brainwashing. Now, if you think that you're lazy or useless at work, it's not you, it's the work. Society doesn't let you see that. Instead, we're just forced into this idea about lazy and hardworking people. But the truth is, we were never given a choice. We were born into a system designed to control us, a system that convinced us that work is freedom, that a job is security, that success means sacrificing your life to climb some silly corporate ladder that you don't even own. And when people say lazy workers make the rest of us work harder, I can't help but to laugh. No, the system makes you work harder. The corporations, the bosses, the ones at the top, they created this reality, not the guy taking an extra 5 minutes on his break. The real problem, it isn't laziness, it's obedience. So what if I told you that all of this is just a lie, that you were manipulated into this way of life? That everything you were told about work, about success, about security and stability was just engineered to keep you in line. In this video, I'm going to break down the truth about work, and by the end of it, you're gonna see and understand how society tricked people into believing that wage labor was a choice, when in reality, it was forced upon us. So we're gonna sort of expose the history of work here, the psychology, the conditioning behind it, and the financial traps built into it to keep you from breaking free. But once you see the truth, there is no going back. I will never trust companies. Wage slavery is just accepted as reality. But why? It's wrong. We deserve better than 8-hour days, 5 days a week. Just because it's normal doesn't mean it's right. I made a video about this. We have to escape because it's wrong. People need to wake up because this is the brutal truth. We're trapped in a never-ending nightmare, and for what? For a company that will drop you the second profits dip. We deserve better, and I'm going to do something about it. But first of all, we have to destroy the myth of free choice. You see, you were told that you have freedom, that you can choose your career, your path, your future, but was it ever really a choice, or was it a path laid out before you were even born? You see, in the early days of human civilization, people didn't have jobs the way we do today. They hunted, gathered, farmed, and created communities where survival depended on cooperation, not wages. They worked for themselves, for their families, for their future. But everything changed with the rise of industrialization. Before factories, most people were self-sufficient. They owned small farms, practical trades, and lived off the land. Then came the Industrial Revolution, and machines took over agriculture, forcing small farmers off their land. The only way to survive? Work in factories for men who owned everything. It wasn't about providing opportunity. It was about removing options. And it didn't stop there. In the early 1900s, factory owners and governments worked together to push the idea that jobs was the only way, the only path to stability. Schools were redesigned to train obedient workers, not independent thinkers. The modern education system? It wasn't built to help you succeed, it was built to make sure that you never questioned your role. Now, Henry Ford, and I mention this guy a lot, he's one of the most famous industrialists, introduced the 40-hour work week, and not to improve our lives, but to maximize output. The goal was never freedom, it was control. They made you believe that security comes from a paycheck, But real security, that comes from owning your own time. This wasn't a natural evolution of society, it was engineered. And that's the big lie. We weren't meant to live for work. We were meant to work to live. There is a massive distinction there. And I know, before you put it in the comments, yes, there are people who love their jobs. They feel passion, purpose. But you know what? Those people actually get used the most because passion makes you exploitable. Passion makes you work for free. Passion makes you sacrifice everything while the ones at the top collect the rewards. It's a trick, and in hustling terms, it's called the pigeon trap. The victim thinks that they made the choice, but they were set up from start. So wage slavery has completely drained my spirit, but I'm not going to give up because I believe that we deserve more than this cycle. And I'm going to keep shouting until they hear us. I'm going to keep fighting until the system falls. And the haters, they can call me a whiner. I don't care. Now, I'm sure that you have been told, just as I have, that a stable job brings security, that working hard means that you will get rewarded, that loyalty to a company will pay off. But history just simply doesn't support that. If you look at 2008, millions of people dedicated their lives to companies that fired them overnight when the economy crashed. Decades of loyalty meant absolutely nothing. The moment profits were at risk, workers were disposable, gone, just like that. And it wasn't the first time. In 1981, the year I was born actually, Ronald Reagan fired over 11,000 air traffic controllers for going on strike, destroying their careers in an instant. These weren't slackers. They were highly skilled professionals, but the system didn't care. It never does, and it never did. And corporate loyalty? That's a joke. In 1950, you could spend your whole career at one company, retire with a pension, and live very nicely. By the 1980s, corporations realized that they could save billions by killing pensions and replacing full-time employees with disposable contract workers. Security? That just wasn't profitable. And that's just history. I've actually lived it. I have the experience. I've seen this happen, not just to me, but to my coworkers. People get fired every single day, sometimes for reasons that don't even make sense, you know? And the myth of stable income, it doesn't hold water. It never did. Security, that was a lie. The moment you become unprofitable, you're gone. So why do people still believe in this system? Well, the answer is fear. The fear of being jobless, the fear of losing everything. You see, the system traps you, makes you dependent, and then convinces you that your only option is to stay in the cycle. But what if you broke free from this cycle? What if I told you that despite everything that they've drilled into you, escape is still possible? So here's the truth. You were never meant to be free in this system, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay trapped. First, understand this. Time is your most valuable asset. Not money, not status, time. Every hour you work for someone else is an hour stolen from your own dreams. And here's the kicker. The company you work for is making far more of your hours than they pay you. They don't buy your labor. They buy your time at a discount. But most people never realize just how valuable their time actually is. Let me put it to you in this way. It took me about an hour to make this video, maybe a little more, but stick with me. 1 hour of work for a video that will generate income for months, maybe even years. Some of my videos bring in $100 a month and have done so for years. Imagine the hourly rate a company would have to pay me to match that. They never could. And that's my point. If you only have 1 hour a day to work on your own business, don't underestimate how powerful that hour could be. Second, realize that debt is not just a burden, it's a weapon. Student loans, mortgages, car payments, they weren't designed to give you a better life. They were designed to keep you working. The more you owe, the more desperate you become for a paycheck. And the more desperate you are, the easier you are to control. Start thinking differently about money. The rich They don't trade time for money. They invest, they build, they own. The system wasn't made for you to win, but it can be beaten if you learn to play the game differently. Look at history. Every major shift in power happened because people broke the mold. The industrial age created factory workers. The digital age created entrepreneurs. The next shift, it belongs to those who refuse to play by the old rules. And here's something that they don't want you to know. The system needs you more than you need it. The moment enough people wake up and stop accepting wage slavery as normal, the entire structure collapses. So, what will you do? Will you stay in that cycle or start building your way out? Think about it like this. Every hour you invest in someone else's dream is an hour stolen from your own. Don't let wage slavery rob you of your life's potential. If you enjoy the content that I create and want to help me keep going, consider supporting me on Patreon. It's $5 a month, and your membership makes a huge difference, and you'll get access to extra content, tutorials, and other products. As always, thank you for listening, and do me a favor, tap that like button to show your support. Subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Until next time, stay hungry, relentless, and strong in your journey of escaping wage slavery. Bye. Oh, you're still here. Oh, that's right. It's the behind the scenes vlog. So this segment of the video is where I share more personal things. It's mostly for my subscribers, but if you're new here, you're more than welcome to stick around. So as I'm working on escaping wage slavery by starting a business, perhaps you're wondering, how's it actually going, you know? So I'm gonna be honest, it's not going as good as I thought it would, but that's more the impatient part of me. You know, I just started this business this year, a few months ago, but it's just that I want to get out of wage slavery now. But I'm working on it. Truth be told, by financial metrics, technically my business is doing great. The profit is much larger than the cost, but it's just not enough to free me. But I think I've said this a bunch of times before. My biggest problem with this business is kind of the moral side. And I have made videos about this. I'm just not a seller. I want to focus on making better videos, and the products I sell, that's more like just merch, you know, like my book that I even put here. I'm not a writer. I'm not transitioning into becoming a writer. It's just not me. My book is more like merch, and it's for people who love to read. But the experience of starting a business is really exciting and hard and time-consuming, so I'm doing my best to make my business work more efficient. And ChatGPT has been helping me so much with that process, by the way. I can't imagine doing any of this without ChatGPT, so a bit of a shout out to AI. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope you liked this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.